Good morning. My name is Tujetsch, and I'm a senior consultant with Sherpa Software. Okay, now we get the formalities out of the way. Let's start with a little fun. So, unless you're a wanted fugitive, I'm going to be doing pictures because you can go on Twitter later. Excellent, great crowd. Okay, thank you for that. Okay, so I want to warn you that I actually missed my calling in life. I should have been an auctioneer. I'm serious about that because I can talk fast if I want to. So, please, with that said, please be sure that your tray tables and seats are in an upright and locked position, because here we go. Okay, so this is what we call the Corporate Information Governance Program. This is a matrix that we made up at Sherpa Software, and its purpose is to provide you with a chronology and a checklist of all your information governance needs. So on the left-hand side, you're going to see the 4 categories that make up the CIGB process, and to the right of it are the 5 processes that are for each. Now, I would love nothing better than to lock these doors and talk about this matrix all day long. I can see that you would love that too. However, unfortunately, we only have 2 hours, so we have 10 minutes to read them. So let's talk about what we have with the corporate information governance process. So first, establish a project structure. So I'm going to give you 10 points in 10 minutes, and some of those are actually even faster than that. So, a project structure. So what do you need to do? First, you must get an enterprise-wide initiative. Make sure that your initiative that you're doing is enterprise-wide. You must have everybody on board. If you don't, then you're not going to have a successful information governance program. Make relationships across your departments. Your departments must all work together. I know that seems like an obvious thing, but make sure that you're all walking lockstep. Otherwise, once again, you're not going to be successful. Define your project sponsors. Define your stakeholders. Make sure you know who those people are and they're responsible and accountable for that. And then lastly, don't overwhelm them with additional tasks. They have a lot to do already. So there's going to be a fine line to walk to be able to make sure that you're doing both their job and the IG process as well. Next, create the right team to gather information. These people must be endorsed by senior management. If they're not, then you've got the wrong people going. Also, make sure that you identify all the necessary players in this process. You want to make sure that, once again, everybody that you have is key to this initiative. All unique departments must be represented. Don't leave anybody out. Everybody's important in this process. Inclusion is key. No department left behind, no lesson down. You can't have that. I know it's tough, but you've got to make sure that we're all working together. So, wow, we're going fast. I'm going to break down some of the business users here. So, first off, one of the team members, all the business users, they know where their data are. They make it, they create it, they use it every day. Make sure they're involved in this process. Let's be honest, they're the ones making the money. So they have to be a part of this. All lines of business must be represented. You're going to have different, diverse lines of business. Make sure that all of them are in this process because they're all going to come in with a different viewpoint of all this data that you have. And then lastly, they're going to be affected most by the policies that are made up. So once again, make sure that they're involved. Next we have, I'm talking too fast. Imagine that. Next we're going to have, there we go, thank you. Information technology. They're the ones that know the softwares, the hardwares, the data types that you have out there, all the legacy data that is in your environment. They also know about your backups, when they're created, how long they're kept, where they kept, when they roll off. So all that is very vital to the information. They also have the personal experiences of dealing with all the data. That's vital as well. And then lastly, let's be honest, IT, they're the ones who are going to be involved in implementing the processes and implementing the policies that are going to be enforcing on all that corporate data. So IT is vital to this whole process. Next we have legal, risk, and regulatory. Now I combine those 3 together. I realize they're 3 separate departments. But they're the ones that know what the legal hold is. I'm sure we have some legal folks here today, shaking of heads. Yep. Okay, so they're the ones that know what legal holds are in process, what data must be maintained throughout the organization. They're also the ones that are most familiar and about your laws and regulations that you have to deal with within your corporation. Also, if you can, include a technical liaison. Do we have any technical legal people here? Here's my point. So, technical and legal sometimes are cross-talking. Make sure that you get somebody that can speak both languages and can translate for everybody. That's key. And legal is also going to be the ones that are making the policies for your implementation. Okay, develop a clear picture. So we need to do a business needs analysis. You need to find out what types of data in your organization is key. What are you using? What are you not using? Find all that information out. Also, the organizational awareness, make everybody aware. You're going to hear me harp on communication through this whole process here. It is key. I mean, does anybody disagree that communication is the #1 problem in companies? Okay, show of hands there as well. Stewardship, you're going to have some data owners, people that are owning the data. You need to find out who they are, so you can identify, make them accountable. Create realistic timeframes, because you need this to succeed. Don't bite off too much. You want to have success with this. Momentum is key with all this, with this process. Okay, prioritize your future state objectives. Let's be realistic. Money is always a problem. So you're going to have funding issues no matter what you're trying to do, even with IG. Undertake some projects that you know you'll have success with. That's crucial. Get that initial success. You want to have that. You don't want to go in and say, well, we failed in our first try. That's not a good way to start. You need to have that early success, be able to build up momentum, communicate that, because you want to make sure that everybody understands that what you're doing and how it's progressing. The more support you have, the more progress you're going to make. And here we go. Keep the organization involved. Communicate. That's just the key. Obviously, you have to get everybody involved in this process. Communicate with everybody. Make sure that all areas of your company are included. Because if you don't, once again, somebody's falling behind and there's data you're going to miss. All areas of the company do have data. So obviously you want to keep that going too. Some make it, some use it, whatever. Here's some interesting ideas. Socialize the initiative. You're using social media in your company. Use that to do it. And really out there, gamify, yes, that's a word, gamify the whole process as well. Make it competitive. Make it fun. Make it interesting for the employees to be compliant with all this. Metrics. Well, it all comes down to numbers, doesn't it? So you need to be able to gather your metrics to understand where your successes are. Once again, you want to communicate those successes. And more importantly, you want to identify your weaknesses to find out where you're failing so you can show that weakness up quickly and get it back on progress. Make your metric information public to your user. Let them see that, look, this whole process is working. We're really gathering some steam here. Communicate that process in progress. And this is all about marketing. Market your IG. Let everybody know that you're having success with everything that you're doing with this process. Don't hide it. You want to make it public for all the users. Leverage the expertise of committee members. You have a lot of diverse committee members. Take advantage of their knowledge. They're all going to be very, very good at what they do. When they come together as a team, make sure that you are leveraging all that information. Leave no area and department stone unturned. Once again, get everybody involved. You can't leave anybody out of this. No matter who you think they are and how they're not using data, they are. Have regular meetings to be able to convey to everybody that what each one is doing. Once again, shore up the weaknesses, find out what's working, what's not working. Get to keep this process moving. But once again, fine line to walk. Don't monopolize their time, because these are busy people. But at the same time, you need to take advantage of the IG process. Communicate to the user community. Everybody agree that these are the wild cards? The users? Yeah, that's a scary thing. I just wrote a little blog entry about data leakage within the organization, because users just take data in strange places. So tell all the employees why this is important. Help them understand. To me, ambiguity is not your friend. I'm a very black and white kind of guy. So don't make the users connect their own dots, because you're not going to like the results of what they've done with that. Don't hide behind publications. Make this face-to-face. Encourage questions from them so they'll know that they're involved and you're listening to them. Make sure that they understand that they're all part of this process to make it successful. Provisions for training. Training. It's an important thing. You need to make sure that all your employees are involved in training for the IG to understand why you're doing this, how it affects them, why they're included. That's key. And then also set up some frequency, be it semi-annually, annually, to have their training being refreshed, recurring. Keep in front of them. Once again, these are the people that could drive your IG crazy if they're not compliant. Make it mandatory for all the users, but no offense to them, make it understandable and important. Help them, once again, understand why this is important to the whole company, so they can take ownership of this as well. And then lastly, last slide already, doing nothing is not an option. So once again, hence some legal people in here. Thank you. Would you agree that all data is possible evidence? So, I mean, quite honestly, not to preach, but it'd be naive to think it isn't. So make sure that you know where all your data is, regardless of the intent of that data, it is evidence. So create a plan for your IG, communicate the plan, implement the plan, train some more, and then communicate and communicate until the cows come home, because you can't tell the users enough about this whole thing. So that is my presentation, and thank you very much, and that's my Twitter handle if you want to reach out to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Again, please